And hello, good people of the internet. It is I, Tommy Kelly. This is Adventures in Woo Woo, and this is another one of the mega one card 47 divinations that I do for patrons every month. The threads go up at the beginning of the month, first day of the month, and within a couple of days I get the videos done for the various different versions, the various different readings, and get them posted up to patrons. And then over the course of the month, I post them to YouTube. So without any further ado, let's get into this. Sarah, where should I focus my energy this month? Let me give this a good shuffle. One of these days, I'll learn to be a good shuffler. Not today, however. Okay. Where should Sarah focus her energy this month? The Conductor. Not until I get a bit closer so we can see. So the Conductor is all about taking control of your life and you deciding what it is that you want, and you taking the control, you taking the wheel rather than handing it over to such people like Jesus or whoever is your chosen deity. So it's a bit kind of the opposite of surrendering in a sense of the, in the spiritual sense. It's about really taking control and go, what is it that I want? What is it that I'm trying to do? And then do that. Rather than kind of reacting to the world, rather than kind of going with the flow or letting things happen or just see how things naturally occur. It's saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to decide what I want. I am in control. I'm the master of my own destiny. I am the person who gets to say what I do with my life. It's not up to some sort of unknown or obscure or hidden god or some sort of divinity. It's not the surrounding people around me. It's not society. It's not the culture. It's not my whatever, the things that surround you with. It's me. I am going to take control. I am the person making the music. Someone else may have written the music, other people may be playing the music, but I'm in charge. I'm the one who's leading. I'm the one who's telling it when to speed up, when to slow down, when to be impactful, and when for it to be light. So, Sarah, that should be your focus for the month. J. Eric, which servant would help me the most in improving my goal visualization techniques? So which servant would J. Eric find the most helpful with regard to his visualization? The Depleted. That's interesting. Right, so okay, here it is then. This would suggest what it's saying is that to the exclusion of all else. So you have to sometimes remove all of the other kind of things in order that you can focus on one particular thing. So the Depleted would help you in this. So rather than your brain be kind of scattered all over the place and loads of different thoughts, feelings, images popping up, the Depleted would be great in order to deplete all of that, to remove all of that, in order that you can have a single pointed focus, and that you are able to just keep your mind connected, focused, centered on whatever it is that your technique is. And I assume, being that you're saying it's a goal visualization, that is your goal. So that is what's saying, and not to allow kind of shadow stuff to come in, or the voices saying, oh, you can't have that, or that's unrealistic, or that'll never happen, or who do you think you are for getting that? This is all too easy. Do you think visualizing stuff is going to really help you get your goal? All of that. Look to the Depleted and ask to help to remove all of those things, remove all the outside forces, all the outside influences, all the inside influences, all the kind of shadow stuff that's inside you, so that you can become single-pointed, focused on your goal, to the exclusion of all else. Grayson, what should I be aware of this month? And interesting, the Depleted comes up immediately again. and it's thinking in a very, very different way. So this would be a way of, you have to acknowledge that there's something has come to an end, or, well, it's not necessarily come to an end, but it has come to a natural conclusion, that the energy has gone from it. Yeah, that might be temporary, that might be forever, but it's that the energy has gone from something. And a way, I suppose one way of looking at this is that, say you have very much an interest in a particular, I don't know, movie series or TV series or something like that, and you're wrapped up in it and you're totally absorbed with it, and you're reading the books about it, you're online reading, the behind the scenes stuff, you're watching YouTube videos about it, different theories or whatever that could be about the particular plot that's going on in the TV show, and then eventually it just wanes, the kind of enthusiasm goes. And it's not that you didn't enjoy the TV show, it's not that anything has fundamentally changed about the TV show, it's just that you have spent your energy on that, or that energy is spent, that kind of enthusiasm or interest is now kind of gone. And that's kind of what the depleted can represent. It doesn't always have to mean that all the money's gone, I've no energy, I have, all my friends have left me, all my leaves have fallen off, I'm desolate. Although it can mean all of that, of course, but it can also mean that it's just your interest in something, or the energy around something has, if not temporary, or if not forever, for now, has waned and depleted and become empty. And so it's to just be aware of something around that month, that something may have, and not to force it, not to kind of go, well, I've bought all these books about this TV show, I better read them, but I'm not really into it. Just let them sit in your shelf for a while, and maybe you'll come back to it at some point and be really interested when season 3 comes out, whatever it is. Or if it's, just a general kind of, sometimes, even about our hobbies or our passions or something like that, we can just go, I'm just not into it. We can have a guilt around us thinking that, we need to be productive or something like that. And it's just a call that the depleted is saying that this month there's something where the energy has dissipated, depleted, maybe forever, maybe for just right now, but just to be aware of it and don't kind of force it and don't feel bad about it. Lucy Lou, what should I be focusing on this month? The idea. So new ideas. Something will emerge that needs to be tended to. Something new. You will be kind of either offered it or come across it, or you'll have some sort of inclination towards it, or something will take an interest in you, and then you have to then return it by taking an interest in it and tend to it, water it, seed it, develop it. Some sort of new idea, a new influence, or a new expression, or something like that, and you have to kind of go with it. If you're not finding it, just kind of keep an eye out first to see what it is, because your question is, what should I focus on? Focus on something new, a new approach, a new idea, a new creation, a new way of doing something, and it could be an old thing done in a different way. It doesn't necessarily have to be that it's if you're a painter, it could be a new style of painting, it could be a new influence, it could be a new theme, it could be a new topic, it could be a new colour palette, something like that. But it's a new idea, a new approach, something that's always starts small, that needs to be developed and tended to, or else it'll go away and find someone else. As Carl Jung says, ideas of people, not that people have ideas. And I often find myself that I'd be, an idea will arrive and I'll get to that at some point. And then invariably, within about 5 or 6 months, I see that someone else has brought that idea to fruition. Usually more successfully probably than I would have, but it's just like that, as if the idea is going around saying, I need to manifest. Can you do this? Can you manifest? Can I do it for you? And if you say yes, then, fulfill your end of the bargain. And if you say no, then it's going to find someone else. So have a look out for the new ideas. Chris, what magic should be my focus for March? And this is dropping out. The Saint. Well, I mean, you could go saint work, if that is such a thing that you were into, like petitioning the saints, working with the saints, that kind of thing. If it's not, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, then it would seem it would be some sort of evocation, some sort of looking for intercedents, asking for help, that kind of thing. It's that kind of looking towards an expert, someone who has abilities that you have. So it's something about evocation, possibly saint work if that's floats your boat. But it could be deity work. It could be asking for something. It's in that general direction of an actual working with spirits, rather than say sigils or servitors or banishings or hyper sigil or any that kind of creative stuff or anything like that. It's actual, probably more spirit work, saint work, deity work, evocation, demons if so suits you. So something along those lines. Catherine. For a decision I have to make, should I go with my intuition, follow professional advice without question, or something in between? It's a perfect time to say that divination, at least how I do it, is not to be seen as the word of God or divine inspiration, as the word of the divine. It's just something to consider, another influence, another perspective on your problem, and, include it while you're making a decision, but don't ever make a decision based solely on divination. The devil. Okay, so I'll reiterate the question. For the decision I have to make, should I go with my intuition, follow professional advice without question, or something in between? This would suggest to me, and I'll explain why, that it would be saying that you should follow professional advice without question. Because the devil is a representation of our own shadow, of our own limiting beliefs, our own things, our own restrictions, the own things we put on ourselves. It's kind of looking at the things in a negative way, our shadow stuff. And so when you ask, should I go with my intuition, it would suggest in this point that your intuition is bound in some way with some sort of shadow, negative, pesky limiting belief, or some sort of contraction in some way that possibly won't allow you to have an objective view on what's going on, and therefore that the person who's possibly most able to help is someone who is objectively out of the, not going to be, personally affected by the decision, might have a better advice. And that's not to say that you shouldn't abandon your intuition altogether, but just kind of question it and go, is this something that I'm actually intuiting as being right for me, or is it something that I want to be right? Is it something I'm scared of? Is it something that that I'm in some way not telling the truth about, that I'm limiting myself, that I'm holding myself back, that I'm contracted about, or whatever? And you could come at it from that decision. But it certainly would suggest to me that between the two options that we'll get, with three options, I suppose, that outside advice, I wouldn't say without question, that, always question all advice, including divination. But it's saying that you mightn't be in the best place to objectively trust your own intuition on this, given the nature of whatever it's about. Red egg. How can I best retain focus on my goals this month? The librarian. Studying, by getting more information, by accumulating knowledge. So this you would be in a sense of, to retain your focus is to study rather than trying to necessarily do something, because of course if you were to do something with the knowledge, that would be the guru, and if there's nothing you could do with it, it would be father. So it's so in a way of gathering information, studying, even organisation of information, like the librarian organises things, so it's not just that it's a random bookshelf or it's random knowledge, that in some way have organised. So if you want to focus your goal this month, it's possibly the sense of organisation, of taking all the information that you have and organise it in such a way that it's easy to access, that it makes sense, and that it's easy to focus on, so that it's not necessarily, all over the place, kind of sporadic bits here and there, a bit of it written in this notebook, a bit written in that notebook, a bit of it's on the laptop, a bit of it's in, on a bookmark in the middle of a book that I have, or whatever it is. Bring it all together and correlate all the different things and try and get a kind of a handle on all this information. But it's something to do with study, something to do with information, collecting of information, knowledge, storing, organisation, rather than any kind of practical use of it, necessarily. Jane, I seem to have lost my way. Sorry to hear that, Jane. Are the servants able to offer me some direction? I hope so. The idea. Okay. This is good. It's probably the answer, but it's not the answer I suppose that you want to hear, because when you're looking for direction. But it is the only answer, is that you need something new. You need something new to focus on. And the idea always kind of suggests that there is something there, maybe only on the periphery or in the background, or just very silent, just in the back. That is something that you can focus on and tend to and grow and make bigger. And if it's in the sense of that you've lost your way, I suppose it's suggesting to not try and get back to your way, to not try and recover what has been lost, or you've lost your way because it wasn't your way, or maybe in a sense that you've realised that the way you had wasn't your way. It's not that you've lost anything. You go, oh, it's just not this. I thought this would make me happy, or this was my direction, but it turns out it's not. And the idea would be suggesting that do something new, and it doesn't have to be a dramatic new thing. It doesn't have to be, leave your house, sell all your belongings, and go and live in an ashram in India or anything like that. But it's just not to repeat the same patterns, not to go over the same thing, not try to solve the problems in the same way that you've always tried to solve them and never were able to. Through something else. Even down to things like new social groups. Leave old ones that are kind of getting on your nerves. Friendships as well that are kind of getting hard or work, or that you find that you're putting them off more than you want to be with them because you find them draining, or and gravitate towards people and situations and groups and books and films and TV and all the things, and gravitate towards the things that give you not necessarily pleasure per se, because that's not always a great kind of barometer of things, but make you feel like you're alive, moving in some direction, that it feels real, that it feels helpful, that it's not draining. To very stop being around things that you find draining, and then eventually move towards the things that you find pleasurable and that give you energy and that give you resources and make you feel alive and make you want to do these things. But it's something. Don't try to go backwards. Don't try to save the old way. Don't try to get back on track. Any of these things. The servants would say it's something new. It's not the old way, and you know that. Alex, I'm looking for some inspiration for the 365 Sigil in the Year challenge from RuneSoup. Can the 40 servants offer me any advice? That's quite the challenge. I know when we're doing the Lent one, the 40-day one, I find it hard to come up with 40 different ones. And what I tended to do then was, the last year, didn't do it this year, was to do 10 sigils 4 different ways. So that's advice from Tommy. Maybe do the same things many different times. But what do the servants say? The opposer. Okay, so it's probably saying something along the things of, rather than looking for things, to do sigils for things you want, which can be, you'll eventually run out of that. It's do sigils to remove the things you don't want, or the things that are opposing you, or the things that are attacking you, or in some way the outside forces that are restricting you in some way, be that people, laws, circumstance, culture, society, whatever, and have them as your targets, where you're kind of not just going for stuff that you want, that you're also going to remove the elements from your life that you don't want. And there would be good targets to also have a look at, if you haven't already. But something around outside opposition. Craig, as I hit my camera, what's blocking my connection with the spirit you? Asterisk. Censored. The explorer. What is blocking? A lack of exploration, too much exploration, and not enough focus. That's what I think it is. So that you're kind of you're pushing too wide a gamut, or too wide a map, or too wide of an area that you're kind of put over this thing, and you need to be more specific, more focused. So I suppose what does that mean? So say you were, working with, I don't know, gods, and you're kind of more going, you know, I want to work with the deity Ishvara, or Jehovah, or the big, the top guy, whatever. And I said that's too wide a net. So you need to more focus in where you go, well, what is it I'm trying to accomplish? Go, well, it's about communication, it's about trade, it's about that kind of go. Well, who is that? That's more a kind of the domain of Mercury, and just be a bit more kind of focused and a bit more delineated and push in a bit closer with the spirit you're working with on what it exactly is, the qualities, the attributes, the aspect of the spirit that you're looking to work with. Because a lot of these spirits can have a number of different, like say even taking Mercury, not only is the god of merchants, of messengers, but he's also a psychopomp, so he works with the dead or bringing the dead over. So I mean, they're very different types of things, and if you just kind of have a general Mercury working, then but it's to do with selling stuff, then you not necessarily want to work with the element that is the psychopomp. So just kind of bring it in, close it in, delineate it, get more focused on what you're looking for. It's Vincenus. What should I focus on to take the next step in my career? The healer. This seems, Vince, in some way that it's about this, like that thing, 2 steps forwards, 3 steps back, whatever it is that it's not that, but that's just kind of the things that's coming into my head, that it's like in order to go forward, there's a sense of having to go back and heal something. And I suppose an example of that would be that in order to get to the next stage of whatever it is that you're looking for in your life, there might have been something similar that happened years ago or in your childhood, or something that will stop you from getting that. Let's say a very obvious one, like public speaking, and you know that the next stage of your life, I know you probably don't have an issue with public speaking, Vince, but that the next stage of your career involves doing a lot of presentations in front of 20 bored people who don't want to be there or something, and you have a huge fear of that. I would say, well, you have to go back and kind of heal where that came from, or which is probably not a great example, because everyone kind of has an issue with public speaking. It's the biggest fear, even over death, seemingly. But something like that, or that your fear of arguing, or your fear of going up against authority or something like that, that there's some part of you that you will need to heal in order to progress. There'll be something that some sort of shadow or some sort of chink in your armor that until that's kind of sorted out, it's going to not necessarily stop you from progression, but you'll have a much more easier thing. So it's this idea of that there's a healing needs to be involved. Just want to get your exact question, as my phone will not open. What should I focus on to take the next step? It's healing, and I suppose the reason why there's this forwards backwards thing is because you're saying the next step, which would appear to be a forward moving momentum, is actually going backwards. That you need to go, there's something that you have to turn around and go backwards in to heal something in order to move forward. And it's not getting away from something, it's not kind of moving towards something, it's something already that has to be healed. And a general kind of sense of healing as well. Unless you're going to become a doctor, then it's just saying become a doctor or a nurse or something. But yeah, it's something around healing, and I have a sense that it's something in that the movement, it's opposite to what you think, the movement, as it seems to be a lot of the times. James, where should I be focusing my efforts to get a new job? Oh, 2. Okay. So 2, and almost kind of opposing cards in some ways, because one is kind of saying there's a sense, which is the Lovers, of security, of familiarity, of ease, of being in a kind of a situation where everything is okay, that, you're past the kind of the fireworks of the relationship, the lust or whatever, the kind of early days, whatever, and you're into just the security, the friends, the companion, the ease of being around someone. But the dancer then is kind of saying that you just have to, sometimes things don't go the way you want them to be, and you have to just kind of go with it. So, hold on, I know what it's saying then. So in this is regard to new job, it's saying that there's maybe in you an avoidance of doing something you've already done before, because it's too easy, I understand it, it's not necessarily boring, but it's unchallenging, or it's something you've done before. You kind of feel like you've done it, but the dancer's then kind of saying that sometimes in order to get where you want to be, you might just have to do that for a bit longer. You just kind of have to go with it. If that's the job that it is for the minute, which sucks if it's not stimulating you in any way, or just maybe it's a call, just said, to not be looking for to do something completely different than you've been doing, and that perhaps the thing to go with it, to go with the flow, to just let it rain, is to do the thing that you're good at. An example, I suppose, from my own life, if it's any help, is I was a sound engineer for a long while, and I really didn't like it, because it's not what I wanted to do. I ended up being a sound engineer because no one else would do it, and because I wanted to be able to record my own music, and that just kind of led into live sound engineering, and then I became a sound engineer. And there was a point where I goes, well, I don't want to do this anymore. And I just kind of talking to my dad about it, whatever, and he's going, well, just, what are you going to do? Do you know what you want to do? I was like, no. He said, well, why not just do the thing you're good at and can get paid for until you know what it is you want to do? And that sucked. And but yeah, I did it. Did it for another 5 years. And the good news is I still have no idea what I want to do in my life. So there you go. DT, what can I do to better my financial situation? Oh, there you go. Card jumped out immediately. To protect yourself. So this, I assume, would be to, give up on that avocado toast and the daily coffees. Jesting aside, it would be to, rather than look at the places where you can earn extra money, maybe look at the places where you can reduce your costs, or you can live in a more frugal way. And that was kind of what I did when I was kind of trying to do this, whatever it is that I do now, and I wanted to kind of have a life as an artist and a musician, rather than trying to, as most people are, how do you make money from art? How do you make money from music? How do you make money from YouTube? Or any of these things. Instead of that, it goes, how can I make my life the least expensive it can be, so that I can afford to do the things I want to do. And I think in this sense, it's kind of saying something similar, like, where can you reduce the cost that that you're okay with? And I'm not saying to be become an aesthetic and give up all these things, and where life becomes unbearable and you just don't want to do anything because it sucks. But it's just like, where can you kind of look at the stuff where you can make things cheaper, make your living cheaper, so that your cost of continuing to have the life you have, it costs less. Simple things, I suppose, like rather than spending all your money on books, which there's nothing wrong with, everyone should do that, join a library, or join Scribd, or that Kindle thing or something, where you have access to a load of books, but it's not costing the same amount. Buy second-hand books rather than new books. Just things that you're not fundamentally changing off what you're doing, but it's just making better choices so your life is cheaper to live. And that worked for me. There's no way I could sustain a very grandiose life, given what the opportunity of income that I have at the moment. But I'm fine. I also have a very generous wife, which is a lot to do with it. Indy, will the results of my recent big decision bring peace or problems? Why not both? Let's see. Well, I knew that was going to be the answer before the card came out. Why not both? It'll be a balance between both. There'll be some peace, there'll be some problems, and that's the nature of life, I suppose. Not really. That's. And if there wasn't any problems, I suppose we'd find it boring. And if it was, if we got everything we ever wanted all the time, then there'd be no contrast. I'd like a little less contrast sometimes. That would that would certainly help, particularly on a world political stage. Little less interesting times. But that's the suggestion there, and it's saying that. Let me read your full question. Will the results of my recent big decision bring peace or problems? It'll bring a balance. A bit of both, but a balance is the main thing, and that's the most we can ever hope for. That it's not going to be all problems. It's not going to be all peace. It'll be a little of A and a little of B, and hopefully that's better than where you have been. And if that's enough for the success of your big decision, is that it brings balance to the force. And good luck with that. So, good people of the internet, just to reiterate, as I said at the start, if you want your own reading, or more correctly, if you want to support the type of stuff that I do, which is writing, music, comics, art, all of these things, then please consider signing up to the Patreon. It'll be in the show description. That helps me out enough. That's pretty much my income these days, and allows me to continue to do what it is that I do. And in return, you get a load of posts, you get to see things no one else sees, you get access to any number of things. And as a thank you, I do these readings for people once a month for patrons. So if that's something you would consider, then please do. There's other ways to support me as well. I have a book wish list. You can just send me some money via PayPal, always acceptable. But all of those things, sharing the stuff, liking the stuff, talking about the stuff, annoying your friends about the stuff, all really helps. There is a post on my website that gives everywhere that all the different types of support. Anyway, so good people of the internet, may your best days be ahead, and may you be well.